What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Caro Emerald. And we're going back to her 2010 debut album, Deleted Scenes from the Cutting Room Floor. Once again, big shout out to Jim for sharing this and multiple other Caro albums with us. And the next tune on this record is The Other Woman. It makes me think about the context of a romantic relationship and the presence perhaps of a mistress, someone orbiting around or adjacent to a public relationship. Now, obviously, whether the narrator is the primary partner or the mistress would make a great deal of difference in terms of the sentiment or attitude of the tune. Now, granted, it could be some other usage of the phrase the other woman, but given that it implies the presence of a primary or first woman, suddenly it feels like maybe what some people call a love triangle. I was just talking about this on my Facebook because there was an article about how humans can't help but watch stories about love triangles because psychologically and emotionally we find that so interesting. And I always feel like it's only really a love triangle if A loves B, B loves C, and C loves A, right? Otherwise it's just a V, and while a V, that's still interesting, it's not the same thing as a triangle. So in this case it would be a V, certainly, but ultimately I do wonder if that is the meaning of the phrase or whether there's something else on offer here. Let's find out. This is Caro Emerald. The tune is The Other Woman, and it's from the 2010 album Deleted Scenes from the Cutting Room Floor. Little xylophone. Slight Caribbean feel, just a bit.
Little girl,
oh, hey.
just keep on waiting for that man to give you a life. You keep on hoping so this prince can save you. Keep on dreaming his scandalous life for your love. Is he the hero? Does he know that you're begging and please? Where angels dare, the devil me. I've been there before.
You could feel that it
You
wasn't.
don't know him. I know him more.
I was gonna say my bad, Caro. But you could tell it's not an omniscient narrator. It's someone who's traveled that path and found that out in her own experience. So now she's like, I see it happening. You're all about it, but you'll eventually realize you're the other woman.
The stars go by. Do you ever realize that you'll never get the chance? All you get is alibis when smoke begins to fade and you're standing face to face. Does he kiss you in a way to say you're the other woman? The other woman.
Yeah, it's another really cool tune. And again, as it turns out, she was neither the other woman nor the primary woman, but someone who knows what it's like to be all about some guy. And as it turns out, he's giving her, less than half of his life. There's someone who he's giving more priority to. I enjoy the idea that it sounds like it's not someone who's knowingly walking into being a mistress. It's someone who thinks like, oh, I met this guy and he's so great and, I love hanging out with him and so on. And then it's like, oh crap, like, I'm always going in the back door. Like, he like seems like on the weekends suddenly he's not available. So I like the idea, and I think the line that, once the smoke clears, which, smoke and mirrors, maybe believe his lies and so on, the deception. But once all that fades and you're there face to face, like how does he kiss you? Maybe like someone who, has someone even more important. So I enjoyed the way it played out. And again, like literally right as I was thinking, like, it doesn't sound like she's just an omniscient narrator who's just explaining this concept. It sounds like she's someone who's gone down that road and unfortunately found out that it was a cul-de-sac, like a dead end. And it's like, oh, but now she sees this younger girl like basically falling into the same thing. So she's trying to, like, it's never going to change. You're never going to be the primary one. You're never going to, find your way to where you want to be. So, the quicker you realize that, the better for you. So yeah, I enjoyed the melancholy of it. Sonically, it's so interesting. Like we had the xylophone, which almost was functioning like a keyboard riff in parts, like the way it was sort of dancing. But then there was this like percussion underneath it all that sounded like almost like, pots and pans kind of percussion, but then it was like, it felt like it was like doubled or something, like it was manipulated rhythmically. So I'm not quite sure what that was, but I enjoyed that. And, in the like sparser parts sonically, you could hear it more clearly. There was a nice little violin run that was sort of, saturating different parts of the tune. And then again, like, especially when she like mentions like, oh, like that's when you realize you're the other woman, and that sort of edgy guitar, which I think really hits the sting of perhaps the emotion of that moment. So I enjoyed the composition of the tune once again. Her vocals sounded great. Again, like I'm gonna keep comparing everything to That Man, number one, because it was like such a like brain exploding tune, but it really set the flavor for the album. So again, this is a fantastic track, but that's still my favorite on the album. So be interested to see if anything can displace it as we continue forward. Once more, big shout out to Jim from the sleepy and apparently disinterested Luca and I. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.